Hello and welcome to Top Gear India. Today I have with us the updated, the largely changed Mercedes-AMG GT 63 SE Performance. It's quite a mouthful, but as long as the name is, the changes list are a bit shorter. They're more mechanical than they are aesthetic. So let's go over the aesthetics first, get that out of the way. So aesthetically speaking, this is in the copper, as AMG likes to call it, the copper magno color. And this comes with the carbon fiber pack, the AMG Performance pack and the carbon fiber pack as standard. So which gives it nice big little carbon fiber parts. You've got larger air dams over here. You get the signature Pan Americana grille that's famous for AMGs. Come along the side over here. Now, as standard, this vehicle comes with 20-inch wheels, but over here, this has got the optional 21-inch wheels. You can get these wheels in silver or black. We've got the ones in silver over here. And I gotta say, I kind of like the ones in silver. These aerodynamic wheels may not be to everyone's taste, but I think they look quite unique and attractive in their own way. Along the side now, there's a new badging. You see the e-Performance badging over here on the side. And everything else largely remains the same. You got your frameless doors. You've got carbon fiber side skirts over here, which just adds a bit more exoticness to this exotic sedan. Come along the side. This is, again, the dimensions aren't changed all that much. I still love the haunches that the AMG 63 SE, you know what, I'm just going to call it the new AMG 63S because the entire name is just too long. So you got the spoiler over here that you can open or close. I've left it open over here so that you guys can see. So if you come along the side over here, you'll notice that you've got this new flap, and this lets you charge the battery. This car is now a hybrid. That's why you have the e-Performance in the name. And to show you that it's an e-Performance, apart from this, well, rather ugly flap that they've put here in the back. I wish they put it on the side. It kind of ruins the symmetry of the car, but it is what it is. So they've added these red sort of like outlines to the name tag over here, which tells you that this is the more performance-oriented version. And believe me, it really is. So we'll go over that a bit later, but I just want to get the aesthetics out of the way. So you get a carbon fiber diffuser over here covering the exhaust. And I gotta say, this particular looks quite nice, looks very sexy. And along the side over here, now, again, most of what you see on the car is pretty standard. The panoramic sunroof you see over here, that's an additional extra. The stickers you see on the side over here, and the carbon fiber side skirt. So basically, all of that, most of this car has been spec'd out. You know, I don't think you get this color as standard, nor do you get the wheels, nor do you get the stickering, nor do you get the carbon fiber. So it's a pretty well spec'd out, pretty good looking AMG GT63. But now let's talk about the important changes. So if you come to the front of the car, I will introduce you to all that's important and, well, quite significant for not just Mercedes-Benz, but for AMG cars in the future. Alright, so just as before, you get the same 4-liter V8 that produces, well, about 600 horsepower. And Mercedes wasn't happy with it. So in collaboration with their Formula One team, they've developed a hybrid system that comes straight from there, and that's something that you can also find on their AMG One hypercar. So it's really cool to see F1 tech directly make it to your AMG. And this car lets you have a glimpse of what future AMGs are going to be like. So for starters, let me tell you the power figures that it now makes. It makes about 843 bhp of power, which is insane if you think about it, and 1470 Nm of torque. Mercedes claims that this car can go from 0 to 100 in 2.9 seconds and has a top speed of 317 kilometers per hour. So if you just stop and think about that for a second, 843 bhp. That's about 150 bhp shy of making as much as the first generation Bugatti Veyron did. That's a 16.4 liter W16 engine. Just think about that. That made around 1200 Newton meters of torque. This makes around 1470 Newton meters of torque. So in today's time, just 2 decades ahead, you can now have a 4-seater comfortable salon that can outdo a Bugatti Veyron. How crazy is that? And at a fraction of, I mean, not a fraction, but like less than half the price of that. So I think that's pretty cool. But trying to talk about the specifics and just how Mercedes and AMG have achieved these numbers. So now the rear is where all the magic happens, and it's a whole list of things. So bear with me. So at the rear, you've got the electric drive unit, or the EDU, which has been developed with Mercedes' Formula One team. And what is the EDU exactly? Well, it has three parts that it majorly comprises of. So part number one, you've got the electric motor, obviously. And second, you've got a two-speed transmission, one gear for lower speeds and the second one for higher speeds. The third thing you've got the limited slip differential. Now, combined, these form the EDU, and they also save a lot of space and a lot of weight just because of how compact they are. Now, if you look to the rear of the boot now, one thing that's changed is you've got a large hump over here in the back sticking out, and that's where you have the batteries situated. So, a bit more about the batteries. You've got AMG's high performance batteries, which also again have been developed with the Formula One team, and something you can find on the AMG One hypercar, which is again really cool. Now, these batteries can provide up to 93 bhp of power constantly, and for 10 seconds briefly, they can put out as much as 201 bhp, which again is quite commendable. So because again, so much performance, so much heat being generated, so much heat being dissipated, Mercedes has had to cool each individual cell by liquid, not the entire battery, but each individual cell. I think that's really commendable. So together combined, the EDU and the battery system weigh about 200 kilos. And if they weigh about 200 kilos and they can give you about 201 bhp of power for a brief 10 seconds, I think that's a good bargain. 200 kilos is not that much. I know a lot of friends, if two fat people out of the car and you're down on 200 kilos. So jokes aside, I think it's quite cool, and it only excites an enthusiast like me to see what AMG is capable of. We've already seen a glimpse of it in the new C63, which hasn't come to India yet, but if and when it will. That with this similar system with this 4-cylinder. This one, however, is a V8. So to be able to fit all of that as compact without compromising the practicality of the vehicle by a long shot or changing the dimensions by that much, I think that is quite commendable indeed. Another beauty of the system is that it can individually choose where it wants to send the power. So thanks to the EDU, it can not only choose between which wheel it wants to send combustion power to, but it can stop a certain wheel from getting combustion power and provide electric power to any specific wheel, and interchange between combustion and electric. And I think, again, that adds, the benefit of it is that you get optimum grip and optimum performance on either wheel that you need it. And I think it also makes the drivetrain quite versatile, because you can just let it do its thing and it just has so much to do. I think cars have just gotten more and more clever, and I think there's coming a point where they're getting more clever than the drivers that can actually drive them. So again, in case you're wondering, the battery pack itself weighs about 89 kilos, not the entire 200. It's combined with the EDU that they weigh above 200, around 200 kilos. Now, let me tell you a bit more about the rest of the car. So this also gets AMG's air performance suspension, essentially, which is essentially air suspension but a bit more performance oriented. You also get Mercedes' rear axle steering wheel. So above 100 kilometers per hour, the rear wheels turn in the same direction as the front wheels to up to 0.5 degrees. At speeds below 100 kilometers per hour, the wheels will turn in the opposite direction as the front wheels to up to 1.3 degrees. Yeah. So I think that's quite cool, and it makes maneuvering such a long car inside our tight city roads a lot easier, and it gives it handling like cars that are almost half the weight and half the size. So again, very commendable to see how far technology has come. Now, 600 horsepower was more than enough for a car like this. No one was ever going to get out of a 600 horsepower car that does 0 to 100 in less than 3.5 seconds and be like, you know what? I need more horsepower. I need more power. There's very few people that would actually do that, and I think all of those people seem to work at AMG, because to put out something like this, something this ambitious, something that comes so close to hypercar territory, I think that is indeed quite commendable. And I don't know how usable this would be on our streets. Definitely, I think most owners would probably drive this in EV mode than they would outright performance mode, given our traffic and whatnot. But it's just so cool to see what the future has in hold, not just for performance cars, but hybrid cars and just cars for enthusiasts in general. So seeing a simple, practical sedan like this, a luxury sedan, turn into something that is this performance oriented and this extreme only goes to show just how far most manufacturers have come, especially Mercedes-Benz. So I'm really excited to drive this car in person. Before all of that, let me just step inside and tell you a bit about the interior. So now Now, the back seat might not be the most important criteria to an AMG buyer, but I'm guessing since you bought a 4-door, it probably is. So in terms of comfort, this is actually surprisingly comfortable in the back over here. I've got plenty of headroom over here, more than sufficient. I've got more than enough legroom. I'm 6 feet for reference, and the driving seat ahead is set to my driving position. So I've got more than enough room, and this does not feel claustrophobic at all. It feels classy, it feels good quality. Not the best under thigh support, but I don't think I'm going to care about that since I'm going to spend most of my time pinned in the back of my seat. You do get cup holders over here. You've got a little bit of storage space over here. You've got a screen that allows you to control the MMI and the AC controls in the back. Also the seat belts. You see these yellow seat belts. You get two options. You get yellow or red. I think they both look really nice. And all in all, this is a really nice place to be, surprisingly place to be, especially given the kind of performance that is sitting right behind me and in front of me. It's just insane. I'm just a bit smitten by just how humble this car is for how much performance it packs. So yeah, now let's go to the front seat and talk about that. Alright, so now on the inside again, thanks to Mercedes' designer package, you get a lot of options to customize the interior. You want carbon fiber, you want gloss carbon fiber, you want wood, you want Alcantara, you want leather. There's 2 different seat options. You get the AMG Performance seat options or just as regular AMG options. These ones I think are the AMG Performance seat options. You've got so many color options. You've got various types of black, you've got 2 shades of brown, you've got reds, you've got blues. I mean, there's so much you can customize and make this car quite unique. So quite cool. Again, the panoramic sunroof does not come as standard. That's an optional. I really like what Mercedes has done with the center console. It looks very classy. I especially like that all of the buttons disappear until you actually start the car. Now, when you start the car, when you start it in comfort mode, it starts quietly, not much sound. It makes the same sound that you hear in the EQS on startup, but turn the car off. Okay, and instead start it up in, hold the pedal and it starts in the sport mode. And as you can see, it sounds a lot. So it really depends. Do you like your neighbors or no? But yeah, you can go out quietly or you can go out with a bang. So again, in terms of practicality, this is quite practical for the kind of performance this vehicle has. I mean, you can seat 4 people with this kind of performance. So I think that's as far as practicality goes already. But despite that, this car is a very comfortable place to be. You get a 14-speaker system that has an output of about 640 watts, which is, again, not an audiophile's wet dream. But I mean, if you like the sound of the car, it's an audiophile's wet dream. So I highly doubt you'd be listening to music as much as you would be listening the back of the car popping and cracking. So yeah, all in all, a classy interior, incredibly customizable, and there's a lot to like here. So I'm looking forward to seeing this car on the road, and hopefully we should be able to bring you the first drive review pretty soon. In the meantime, stick around to the Top Gear India YouTube channel. This is Gavin Rodriguez signing off.